Welcome to the TJ Tribe. If you don't know, this is what we do on a Monday evening. We come out straight live to you and we get to answer your questions. And in today's question, we've got someone who has asked the golden question. I think that any newbie or anyone who've been ruffled, with an estate agent say, no, this cannot be done. And they come to Uncle TJ and say, Uncle TJ, can this be done? Because probably they have tried it. It is I, TJ. Welcome to the show. If this is your first time of tuning in, let us know in the comments where you are tuning in from. And tonight we are broadcasting from the city of gold. We call it Johannesburg. And we're going to be discussing how can I buy a property with a newly registered person, with a newly registered company. That's the question there. How can I buy a property with a newly registered company? A lot of people ask me this question. I get this question maybe at least 3 or 4 times in a month. So I decided, hey, let me just do a short video so that the education is out there. Yeah, I like hearing from you, but I also want to equip you so that you are never dependent on me, because Jesus one day might just take me and I don't know when that day is. So it's better to offload the information and the IP that's in here onto something like this so that the legacy can continue even when truly is gone. So yeah, we are going to be talking about this newly registered company. So the short answer is that yes, it can be done. That's the short answer. But the how part of it is what I'm going to explain within this short video. So can you buy a property with a newly registered company? Yes, the short answer is yes. I'm going to give you all of that. But let's define what is a newly registered company. Let's define that first, right? So that's the question that we are answering today. And again, anyone else who's got a question, no matter how you might assume could be a little bit on the lame side, it might be sounding lame, but actually it might be golden to some of us. Like if you can look at this question here, it's such an easy question. You think anyone would know, right? But if you've never been there before, how would you know? So here we never regard any question as lame, any question as stupid. It's all information that we need and it can help someone else. I'll dive into it. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. And by the way, thanks for subscribing. And thanks for sharing. I see a lot of you guys, you share this information with other like-minded people. So thank you for sharing. It's really helping us and also helping those people that are also coming in to be new and asking these pertinent questions that we get to cover. A new company is a company basically that has been registered. This company might have been registered, let's say 2 years ago, 1 year ago, and it hasn't traded. And I'll give a different scenario here. The first thing I want to speak to about a new company basically is that the company may have a name or may not even have a name. I recently got a company and at the CIPC. So CIPC is our regulating body that gets to endorse or create companies for anyone in South Africa. And thereafter, there's other third parties, plenty of them. Banks even, you open up, if like for instance, how can we help you? The bank FNB, they give you the opportunity on their website to go through into their website, and you get to open a company, and together they will open up a bank account in like in a couple of minutes. It can be done in a couple of minutes, and you pay them obviously for that service. How do I prefer to open up a company? I personally prefer to open up a company with an attorney, someone who has what they call secretarial services, and that person becomes my company secretary. And they're working for me, which means that they're not just opening up a company, but they become also my company secretary. And I'm happy with that. So let's assume that the company has been registered. That's number one. And then number two part of it is that this company is new, like new. We registered yesterday, and today we are now wanting to trade. So how best can we do it? The other scenario is that you might have had this company for, let's say, 2 years or even more, but you haven't traded in it. It's still new because it hasn't traded, isn't there's no financials in it. Can that company still be able to buy? Now we are answering a different question where we're saying a company without financials, can it apply? Can it buy a property? Yes. If it is cash, it's a no-brainer. But this here guy, he is asking because he's wanting to get some funding from the bank. That's where the backlog is, or the challenge is. If it is a new company and you've been owning it a couple of years, which means that you now need another team member who's called an accountant, who now needs to say that this company has not been trading year number 2, number 3, number 4, and they give you a letter, and then the bank will take that. So that's the first one. We've defined what is a new company. Now, the second thing I want to speak about here is that this company, it may not even have a bank account, or it may have a bank account. It's not a it's not a, I want to say a regulatory requirement. Your funding sounding very important today, is it? Yeah. Okay. So the bank account, it's not a requirement from the bank when you're opening up or you're looking for debt from them for you to be able to get the property bought via a loan. It's not a requirement. However, they do need the bank account at a later stage. Obviously, now when they've qualified you and now they're offering you the loan, they want to have a bank account where they are going to debit the debit order. So not a requirement, but it will be required a little bit later. So which basically means that if the company was registered yesterday, you can apply for a bond today. You don't have to wait to get a bank account. However, if you are to go to the likes of FNB, they open up the bank account and the company itself. So you kill one stone with two birds. By the way, FNB are not paying me for talking about them here. I see what they do. I like what they do. They're not my bank, actually. I'm trying to move away from them of late, actually. I'm going to the other. There's two banks that I'm chasing these days, giving me a better service. Not that FNB, they're not just giving me the great service that I'm looking for. That's it. But they might be great to you. So, yeah. So that's a bank account required later to debit funds. Right. Now, going through to the same thing, so we've spoken about the new company, we've spoken about the bank account, and the third thing that we're talking about now is the financials. Is it a requirement that you should have the financials? In a typical sense, the answer is yes, you do need financials. However, this is a company that you registered yesterday. This is a company that you registered 2 years ago. So obviously there is no financials, right? So can the company still be able to be granted a loan? The short answer is yes, right? But this is the biggest hindrance. The biggest hindrance around financials is that you might be working with an estate agent. And I want to qualify estate agents, right? I want to qualify estate agents. Not all estate agents are educated. Ooh, TJ, are you talking about them having a degree or having matric? No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about them being educated around doing deals, right? Or not all deals are straightforward. Some deals are complicated. Already for some estate agents, if you have to bring in a company, a newly registered company, that deal could be complicated for that specific estate agent. I like to work with estate agents that are educated, number one, and then number two, who are also experienced. Because the more they are experienced, the more they have seen multiple things. So they can think outside the box. And if there is estate agents that are educated, what are the others? They're uneducated? No, they're just others. All right. Okay. Now let's come back to the estate agent. So we said number one, you already have your company, it's registered. Let's assume yesterday or 2 years ago, and it's not trading. Number two, there is no bank account in that. Number three, there are no financials in there. And bingo, you meet Karen. And Karen is the estate agent. And she says to you, If you are putting in an offer to purchase, yep, and you are buying in this company, the company, it doesn't have financials, so we cannot take it to the bank. It can be done. I've had so many people, so many of my students, so many people just generally asking me that Karen is saying no. Well, she's being a Karen. I think that's the short answer. But besides being a Karen, she is probably not educated around it. So she doesn't know. She falls within the bracket of others. Because I have personally done multiple deals in companies that were registered today. They don't even have a name. It's a K company. And K just basically means it comes with the name part of it. It will say K, and then it's got a company registration. And bingo, the bank gives us the money. So how different am I from you? No difference. You're just working with a different current. Maybe I'm working with Tabo. Okay. So having said that, let's go back now. How best can we now make sure that Karen can take us through this deal? Because Karen can be the hindrance of everything. Your estate agent, if you don't have a relationship with an estate agent, a lot of things can go wrong for you. You can lose lots of money because you don't have a relationship with the estate agent. Because some of you are just thinking that I'm just going to slay the estate agents. Isn't? No, it's a two-way. This is a business. You are the investor. Karen on the other side, she's also in it for money. Here are some of the reasons why you would meet a Karen, and a Karen would say to you that if there are no financials, the bank won't give you money. Number one is that maybe she doesn't know, so she's not educated around it. Secondly, normally deals that are like this are complicated, so she's never done a deal like that. So Karen is inexperienced. Okay. Thirdly, and this is the common one, deals that comes through with a company, or should I say deals that are being in a company, most banks do not offer 100% on a company. Here, the operative word, most banks do not give 100%. So for that reason, she's already thinking and assessing your financial statements at a distance. And she's like saying, chances of this person, now this person is you, if you are to go and to borrow the money from the bank, chances are 100% you are going to be getting 100% loan. So her rate of success of closing the deal is now 100%. Chances of you with your company that doesn't have financials, with a bond originator that doesn't know how to do these things, with an uneducated Karen, who normally banks gives around about 80 to 90% on a company. It just depends on who the jockey is. Who's the jockey? Yourself. So for this reason, Karen is likely going to push you to go into, no, you can't do that. And if you bite on that, she will take you onto the personal space. Now she has guaranteed her sale. And this is the common reason why lots of estate agents will do this. Over and above the other two, over and above the other many reasons that might be circumstantial to you. Okay. So in this case, the estate agent for me is my deal maker. Whatever she's going to be saying, I want to tread carefully, but also it is now your responsibility to educate Karen. She says to you, it cannot be done. You say, no, it can be done, Karen. The only problem is that I might get 80%, 90% from the bank. I do have the money. I do have the difference, right? And if I do have the difference, I can also be able to have closing fees. I have the money. So make sure that your Karen is comfortable. And the way you're going to do that is by communicating with Karen. If you communicate like this, number one, you've just educated Karen. Number two, you've made her at ease. Number three, she is going to be open up to help you. What she's going to likely do is, if she doesn't know and she's inexperienced, she's probably going to ask another person. And this other person, potentially two people, is maybe her supervisor, or typically known as the principal. If the office is small, and they're going to ask the principal, and the principal has gone through many deals, his experience, they're going to say yes. Or they're going to take the same transaction to a bond originator, who's another team member here. We spoke of an accountant, we spoke of a lawyer, bank, and now we're talking about an accountant. The bond originator. The bond originator is likely going to say yes, because they do transactions all the time. So they likely have seen this. If the bond originator is saying this cannot be done, whoa, my friends, you are in the wrong company of team members. You're not going far, right? Change them. If your bond originator is saying that. I got a couple of bond originators that I work with. Holla at us. If you're getting stuck, people who are clever, people who are working with investors, people who are pushing deals all the time. All right. So I am hammering quite a little bit on the Eastern agent, and as you can see, I am also giving a little bit of crap on Karen, the Eastern agent, but I'm also giving in a little bit of crap on you. So it's a two-way process. The best deals that I've gotten is when I have used Karen and I, we've got a good relationship. She brings me good deals before that they're even on the market. She hears about deals. She says, this deal, TJ, is good for you. So you can work with an Eastern agent to make some good money. Do not think all Karens are Karens. Ne? Okay, good. As we go along on the Karen issue, so now we've got, right, I want to recap again. Number one, we are talking about how can I buy a property with a newly registered company? The first one, we have defined what the new company is. It's 1 year or even registered yesterday. There is no bank requirements that is required. There are no financials in that company. Now you're working with the Eastern agent, and you have just gone over the hurdle of engaging with the Eastern agent. There is no documentation that have just been extended. They just told you, no, it cannot be done. But at this moment, it's now a yes. You've given each other comfort. What then? What's the next step of this? The next step is that obviously we now need to define the buying process. You are buying the property and you are wanting to go to the bank so that the bank can fund you. And this is what we're talking about. How can I buy a property with my newly registered company? If it was cash, it would have been easy. You just pay for the cash and it goes into registered in the company. That's just as easy as it is. But when there's a loan involved and a bank involved, that's when it becomes complicated. So let's talk about the offer to purchase. So in this case, who is buying? It is not you, the investor, who is buying. It is the company who becomes the buyer. So on your offer to purchase, you now need to write on the buyer section your company name, the K name, right? And then who is going to be the representative of this company? You become the representative of that company. How about TJ? We just said that there is no financials. I know, my friends, don't worry, hang 10. Now that we've got the buyer and the seller, right? The buyer does not have any financials, so the bank won't be able to give them any money. So how then can they buy? Well, there is you. Yes, you have the means to now go and buy because you've got an income from your boss or from your job or from your active income that ever you have, wherever it is coming from. If it is a salary, now you become the surety holder. So you become the co-applicant of the company. So what's basically that they're going to do, the Eastern agent is now going to take the buyer's details. So remember we spoke about the CIPC. So the company is going to have its own registration document. You are also going to have your own FICA documents. And then thereafter, the Eastern agent together with the bond originator will take this paperwork and then they'll send it to the bank. And using your income, the bank will say yes or no on buying this property. Basically, what's happening here is The bank is saying we recognize the buyer, but we are banking on the surety holder that they are going to pay. Remember, I mentioned in the beginning that there is a bank account that is required. Now your company name, if or when the bond has been approved by the bank, the bank then will say to them, well, give us the company account, bank account number for us to be able to deduct our fees, monthly repayment, that is. Some banks, they would already dictate at that junction to say, if you don't have a bank account with us, we will give you the bond on the conditions that your bank account is here. So they already will open up a bank account for you. Some banks do that, some banks don't do that. So it's really up to you. Will you be able to use that bank account as your primary bank account? That's really neither here nor there. But the point is that some banks would even give you a favorable rate or a discounted rate if you are to bank with them or open up a bank account or be their primary business account. So there you are, my friends. This is how you actually open up a business account. This is how you actually open up a company, and this is how you can be able to buy a property in a newly registered company, especially if you're working with an estate agent, especially if you're working with a bank to get some loans. However, right, the deal, I want to say it gets a little bit complicated in other deals because now let's assume that this was just a normal bond. But what if it is a commercial deal and the deal is quite big? I know some banks actually that they actually give you a requirement. Yeah, a requirement for you to open up a new company. Yep. They say to you, when we are looking at this deal, even though you may have your own company, even though you are good to go from a surety perspective, we don't want to put our property in that existing business. We want this in a new company altogether. Can we register that company for you? And they will register it for you. Over and above that, that's their own form of security. So they call it a special vehicle. A special vehicle. And there's plenty of banks that do this. But it's just that it's on the commercial side, and a lot of us are not in the commercial side. We think that we are too small to be playing in that. But I want to encourage you, my friend, if you can manage one 2-bed, 1 bath, you can already manage 20 of them. The process is the same. You are just adding a 0 onto the numbers that you're applying at the bank. And also, you are just adding in a few clever team members on your team. But maybe you're working alone at the moment. Stop working alone. Work in a team. If you work in a team, you're going to go further. I hope I've answered this question in depth, and I hope it's going to be helping you. If this has been helpful to you, hit it, share it with other people, and don't forget to subscribe. And over and above that, ask your question in the comments, and I will surely be able to get to those questions, and I'll answer them on another video like this one, where I can either just answer it to say, yes, you can. But the goal on this show here is never to just give you the answers. It is to give you the framework so that when you go out there, depending on the circumstance, you can be able to apply the framework in different circumstances, which means that here, I never spoon feed you. I am here to make sure that I am feeding you correctly, teaching you how to feed, whilst feeding you also, so that tomorrow you can be able to make money on your own whilst you are doing real estate. So let's close off by saying, my heart is open, my mind is open. Help me, TJ, to make some money. Let's go again. 1, 2, 3, go. My heart is open, my mind is open. Help me, TJ, to make some money. Boom, boom. That's what it's all about. Here, we are of the view that every modern parent should earn passive income in property. That's why we do what we do. Until we meet again, my friends, we will see you on the next